If we are to believe Donald Trump, the United States doesn't need anything from Canada.
And we don't need their lumber. We don't need their energy. We have more than they do. We don't need anything. We don't need their cars. I'd much rather make the cars here. But they need us. We really don't need them.
But if that's true, why does he keep insisting that Canada should be the 51st state? Here's a clue. Maybe the United States does need something from Canada. For example, oil. When Trump imposed tariffs on Canadian products, oil only faced a 10% tariff, while other categories were hit with 25%. Coincidence? Hard to believe, considering the U.S. imports 4 million barrels of oil per day from its northern neighbor. According to energy experts, replacing these imports would take considerable time and come at a high cost. Canada is the largest foreign supplier of crude oil to the United States, and this trade is facilitated by an extensive network of pipelines. The Keystone Pipeline system, for example, transports over 600,000 barrels of oil per day from Alberta to refineries in the U.S. Midwest and Gulf Coast. Additionally, the proposed Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion would further increase oil shipments to the U.S., reinforcing Canada's role as a critical energy partner. Without this infrastructure, the U.S. would face logistical and economic challenges in securing stable oil supplies. But that's not all. Canada is also a key source of minerals and rare earth elements like lithium, potassium, and cobalt, essential for high-tech industries, from electric vehicles to renewable energy and aerospace. Since China, the world's largest producer, has restricted exports of these resources to the United States, the most reliable and accessible source is Canada. Canada is also a major producer of nickel, graphite, and uranium. Nickel and graphite are critical components in batteries for electric vehicles, an industry that is rapidly expanding. Uranium, on the other hand, is crucial for nuclear energy production, and Canada is one of the world's top suppliers. In 2022 alone, Canada produced over 4,000 metric tons of uranium, playing a vital role in powering U.S. nuclear plants. Without these resources, maintaining the competitiveness of the U.S. technology and energy sectors would be significantly more challenging. Canada is also ramping up production of rare earth elements, which are essential for everything from smartphones to military equipment. As geopolitical tensions with China continue to rise, securing a stable supply of these materials from a close ally like Canada is more important than ever. And finally, let's talk about electricity. Several U.S. states bordering Canada rely on power supplies flowing down from the north. Quebec alone exports roughly 30 terawatt-hours of electricity to the U.S. annually, enough to power millions of homes. New York, Vermont, and other northeastern states depend heavily on this clean energy, which helps stabilize prices and reduce reliance on fossil fuels. Ontario's energy minister has even suggested imposing surcharges on electricity exports to the U.S., which could drive up costs for American consumers and businesses. If access to Canadian electricity were disrupted, the U.S. would have to invest billions in alternative energy infrastructure to compensate for the loss. The interconnected power grids between the two countries also provide crucial backup in case of energy shortages or extreme weather events. But the economic ties go far beyond just resources. Canada is also deeply integrated into U.S. manufacturing. The automotive industry, for example, relies on a seamless supply chain that stretches across both countries. Cars manufactured in North America often contain parts that have crossed the U.S.-Canada border multiple times before completion. If the U.S. were to sever these ties, the industry would face severe disruptions, costing billions in lost productivity and thousands of jobs. Similarly, the aerospace industry benefits from close cooperation between American and Canadian companies. Canada is also heavily dependent on the United States, as 80% of its trade is concentrated in the U.S. However, it is important to note that Canada is rapidly strengthening ties with other countries, particularly the European Union and the United Kingdom, in an effort to diversify its trade flows. With new trade agreements such as the Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement with the EU, Canada is actively reducing its reliance on the U.S. market. If these efforts succeed, the United States could find itself losing a crucial trading partner. So, does the United States really not need anything from Canada? Imagine a scenario where Canadian oil, minerals, electricity, and manufactured goods were suddenly unavailable. The cost of energy would rise, supply chains would be disrupted, and entire industries would struggle to adapt. The notion that the U.S. does not rely on Canada is not just misleading, it is economically dangerous. Canada is not just a neighbor, it is an indispensable partner that plays a crucial role in American prosperity and stability. What do you think? Leave us your comment and subscribe to our channel, The World Brief, where we dive deep into the news that shapes the world.